5. Yeah, 1 through 5. Um, I chapter 2, I think it explains, it's very concise, very brief. But my opinion, I think it explains about the spiritual realm, meaning how human being that we have fallen into sin, and how people are every single day, instead of going towards God, that we are going towards Satan's direction. I think he explains really, really well about religious life and versus gospel. Let me read it to you. Actually, it says, excuse me for 1 second. Okay, it reads, as for you, you were dead in your transgressions and sins, in which you used to live when you followed the ways of this world and of the ruler of the kingdom of the air, the spirit who is now at work in those who are disobedient. All of us also lived among them at one time, gratifying the cravings of sinful nature and following its desire and thoughts. Like the rest, we were by nature object of wrath, but because of His great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy, made us alive with the Christ even when we were dead in transgressions. Amen.
Amen.
If you look at verse 1, it says, as for you, you were dead in your transgressions and sins. After Adam and Eve commit a sin, then they were separated. God left them because God cannot be with sinners, and so God has to naturally leave them. It's not it's not Adam and Eve left God, but actually God left them because if God is with the sinners will die. God is complete, God is sinless, God is righteousness, which means anyone who is with God who is a sinner, then that person is bound to die. That's why we were dead in our transgressions and sins, in which you used to live when you followed the ways of this world and the ruler of the kingdom of the air. The moment we got separated, since we had to live, since we have to live without God's provision, which means we have to survive. God told us, since you are dust, you will go back to dust. And so, which means human being, we realize about that. And as you know, Satan is the one who's holding on to the death, and actually he's making us his slave by the fear of death. And as a result, human beings, since we want to live, we want to live in this world. That's why that we have to follow the ways of the world, and so also the ruler of the kingdom of the air. The moment we got separated, we live in this world that is being controlled by Satan, which means we have to follow the rules and the regulation and the law of Satan. And as a result, and that we have to follow in order to live. I mean, that's natural. Let's say if I'm living with my parents, I have to follow my parents' law. But if I have to live with somebody else, then I have to live according to their law. That's actually very, very natural. But the moment we got kicked out of Garden of Eden, the moment God left us, which means since we have to survive, since we have a fear of death, the most important thing for mankind is about what to eat and what to drink and what to wear. It's almost like a physical, primitive living. As a result, human beings have no choice but to pursue after physical things. This is very important because this is how Satan controls us. Because what happened was, God does not provide us provide human being with anything anymore, which means men, we have to provide ourselves. So from the beginning, we have to learn to save ourselves. That's how we have been actually trained in this society. When you actually, go into elementary, middle, and high school and college level, which means you get to learn to be how to be independent. You gotta be able to compete. You gotta be able to win over other people. You gotta be able to be successful, which means you gotta be better. You gotta be excellent. I mean, you have to be the one who is actually better. This is what the teachers, this is what the schools are teaching. This is what the most companies are teaching. But not realizing where this come from. And we think that's the best way. Even as a Christians, we think, well, since you gotta be successful, you gotta do this, and you gotta study hard, you gotta get good grades. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, okay, those things are bad, but I want to just illustrate how Satan has been controlling us in this environment. As a result, man has to listen and to follow the word of God, not word of God, word of Satan. Satan is holding on to us by death. Satan is the one who's holding on to death, and Satan holds us, our lives, in slavery by holding, giving us a fear of death. He wants us to live, which means that Satan taught us from the beginning how to live a life without God. Satan has been delivering us a message saying that, okay, in order for it to survive, you need money. In order for it to survive, you need bread. You need to have a good house. You need to have a good car. You need to be living. You need to be getting a good education. That's the sort of mentality. That's the sort of the training, the message that Satan has been given. That's why when Satan tempted Jesus in Matthew chapter 4, first thing that Satan did was attacking the physical things. It says, turn this rock, turn this stone into bread. And then Jesus actually quoted Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 3. It says, man will not live by bread alone. And it says, we have to live by the word of God. We are living in an environment and very structured, very organized, very systematic infrastructure that's saying that more than God, you need to have money, you need to be successful, you need to have a power, you need to live for yourself. That's why actually Jesus actually was, he actually turned it around and he gave a totally opposite message. Matthew chapter 6 verse 30, he says this, okay, those things are for Gentiles. Don't worry about what to eat, what to wear, what to drink. Don't you know, look at the flower, look at the lilies in the field, look at the birds in the sky. Even the birds will not fall down without my permission. And the birds do not have to worry about what to eat. Someone will provide that food, and I'm the one who's providing food. Look at the lily in the field. Even Solomon did not have that kind of splendor. But will I not take care of you? And then he turned around and said, first seek his kingdom and his righteousness, and everything else will be added to you. Satan is the one who put us into this box, thinking we need to have certain things. We need to be able to be this way or that way. We are in the midst of Satan's matrix, thinking that this is how we need to live our life. Even Christians who go to church, who think they have the gospel, they think in this box. Even after receiving gospel, even after they confess Jesus is a Christ, they still they have not come out of this box yet and thinking, oh God, I need to have more money. I need to serve you better. That's why, God, instead of making $100,000, give me $200,000 because that way that I could serve you more. I could give better offering. I could, give my devotion And because I want to be excellent. I want to really tell people God is working in my life, but your agenda is within this box. But God said, when we are in the midst of this world, when we are in the midst of this following the ways of the world, the kingdom of the air, and God said, God saved us. God redeemed us. This is a very similar story with Exodus. People are living underneath Satan. People are actually living inside of Egypt and thinking, okay, this is a good way. Even they came out of Egypt, and the Israelites, whenever a problem came to them, they always complained, "Oh, I wish I could die in Egypt. We were eating meat. We are having we didn't have to walk like this. Every time we turn around, even though we are slaves, that we had everything to eat, to wear, and to drink." Which means they don't really understand the salvation they receive, but they only want to get the what to eat, what to wear, what to drink. That's all they're concerned. Which means that Satan is controlling us by giving us a physical cravings. And as a result, instead of looking for God, we need food. That's why food became our idol. Money became our idol. Success becomes our idol. My thoughts and my philosophy turns into my idol. You utilize the gospel to fulfill your philosophy. You utilize the gospel to make your life better, to fill your stomach, which means it's not what God intended. That's why life movement is not really taking place. Because even though you say Jesus is a Christ, but you are serving different kind of God. Just like John chapter 2, instead of accepting Jesus Christ as a master, that you think God is your guest. You think you are the master of life. You think Jesus is there to serve your needs, which means everything is turned around. When you accept Jesus as your guest, my opinion is that you may not have been saved. Why am I saying that? Because you have to accept Jesus as a savior. You have to accept Jesus as God, which means if you accept if you don't accept the biblical God, then how can you say you receive salvation? Which means that you have created some other idol that called Jesus, then you're accepting that Christ. So it's a totally different Jesus Christ. What I'm trying to tell you is salvation means coming out of this matrix, coming out of this kind of box, which means that we need to have a complete different thinking system, because Satan has been manipulating us, Satan has been giving us a message, Satan has trained us so that we are really comfortable in the midst of this matrix. So even as a Christians, we are a lot more comfortable in the midst of this. We are so used to it. We think, Christians should be like this. We need to receive God's blessings. That's why I'm driving good cars. I'm living in a good house. I'm not just saying, don't get me wrong. I want you to all live in a nice house. I want you to really drive a nice car. That's not the point of the message. The point of the message is that Satan has put us in the midst of this box, and this is the way we should live our life. But that's not it. God called us from this darkness so that we will be in the light. We are used to be the object of wrath. When you are in this, when you think food is your idol, when you think money is your God, when you think your success is a way of your life, then you are underneath God's wrath. But God actually saved you. God made you come out so that you will be under the law of spirit and law of life. Romans chapter 8, verse 1 and 2. There's no more condemnation in Jesus Christ, because law of spirit and life has set you free from the law of sin and death. Which means we have to understand what really salvation really means. Means coming out of this matrix, coming out of Egypt, completely out of Satan's bondage, that we are in the hand of God. How? God gave us grace. Romans chapter 5, verse 8. It says, while we are yet sinners, while we are in the midst of this matrix, God came to us. Jesus Christ died on the cross. God demonstrated his love for us. Anyone who believes, anyone who calls the name of Lord, then that person will receive salvation. Um, this is a very, very important concept because even as a Christian, I accepted Christ back in 98. But since I didn't understand this mystery, I thought I was like, since God is with me, I need to make more money. Since God is with me, I know God will bless. Just like Joseph, since Jehovah God was with Joseph, that's why and his field was prosperous. So that's why. Oh, so I need the evidence. Being with God, and I need to see God's help financially. So even as a Christian, I thought I understood. Somehow if I had like $1 million, I think I'm gonna be like really settled down. But if I don't have any money, I feel really nervous. So I was always after making more money. I remember year 2005, I was actually running about 3 different businesses, and I had about $500,000 in my account. But that didn't satisfy me, and I was so nervous. I was so anxious, and I thought I need like $3 million. I need $6 million. Heck, I need like $60 million. That's what I was praying for. But one day I was looking at Psalms chapter 23. David made a confession. He said this, the Lord is my shepherd and I will not be one. And he says, even though I walk through the valley of death, I will not fear because I know the Lord is with me and his rod and his staff will comfort me. But the funny thing was, even as a Christian, I never had that kind of peace and the tranquility. I never had that kind of experience that God is with me 24/7. And I was actually looking for the evidence, but I didn't really experience the God being with my life 24/7. I really didn't have joy in the thanksgiving of salvation. Why? Because even as a Christian, I was still living underneath the boundaries of Satan. And I was still living underneath this is Satan's matrix, Satan's structure, the infrastructure. Uh, Satan has trained us very methodically, systematically, and very logically. If someone is crazy about evangelism, and that person even give up his job, and so he's just going around and different campuses, and he evangelizes all the time, people will call him crazy. You need to have a balance in your life. How can you evangelize like that? As a Christians, you need to take care of your family. You got to have a right personality. You got to have a right balance in your life. Sure, you need to exercise. You cannot just go around and share gospel. That's not the right way. That's what happened to me year 2006. When I realized that I was in the midst of matrix, then I completely changed myself. God, I give so much because I remember how anxious and how nervous my life was. And one night, I really sat down and looking at the scripture. God, I want to really experience that David experienced. Not the success, not the money, or not the power he possessed, but I want to really experience the Emmanuel, the God being with his life. David was not happy because he was a king. David even confessed. He said, just instead of living as a king in this world, I'd rather be a gatekeeper in heaven. That's what David made a confession. And God help me to make that kind of confession. I just want to live a life for one day that God is with me 24/7. God is with me so that I'll be really comforted. And at that night, I remember I really, really sat down. I really kneeled down in front of God and inviting Jesus into my heart. I said, come to me as my master. I don't need money anymore. I don't need anything else. But if I can really experience this one thing, and this is what I need. At night, at that time, I received so much grace. I remember that was like year 2006. From that point on, evangelism started to happen in my life. Right after accepting Christ, I was Christian. I knew gospel. I know how to draw the bridge message. I was evangelizing the field. But when I really, really experienced that Christ in my life, I remember that day. I think it was about 7 o'clock. And at 7 o'clock in the evening, I went outside and shared gospel to this one person in a bus stop, and he accepted. And I remember me going to George Mason University and accepting this one, sharing this gospel to one girl, and she accepted. I still remember her name was Nina, and she was actually receiving this Christ in tears. And her family received gospel. Her sister received gospel. Even herself, she was receiving a lot of answers. That was actually the turning point of my life from year 2006. Then I really resolved to my heart, okay, my life is not about money. And I said to God, God, until this point, I was 35. Until this point, my life was about making money and money. And God, from this point, help me to not make any money. And I want to be your servant. Even as a lay person, I want to really learn about your evangelism. I want to really learn about your plan, your desire, your direction. That's why year from 2006, I remember, going around all different campuses with, Pastor Sean and Pastor James. And during that time, I was crazy. I didn't have, real job as normal people do. People are calling me crazy because, like, I was just going around not having real job as other 35-year-olds should have. I didn't have a stable life. I remember most of people, even this is what happened within the church. Oh, don't follow Pastor Jang because you're going to turn out to be like missionary Andrew. This is the rumor that was going around in Washington. Really, that's so. If you listen to my message, if you listen to Pastor Jang's message, you're not going to be a normal person. Uh, really. Uh, but one thing I can tell is I'm not in that matrix anymore. Does that mean I'm perfect? No, I'm not. My personality still is very impatient. My temper is like thin. It's very thin. It's very shallow. My perception is still not great. Sure, I'm not a very very righteous person, but since I'm in the midst of God's hand, not in Satan's matrix, everything changed. How I look at scripture, how I pray, how I evangelize completely changed. Uh, I'm not saying, okay, you need to just quit your job and evangelize. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is come out of this matrix. Come out of this Satan's system. How can I do it? Well, you need to really receive Christ. Not as your personal success, not as your agenda for you to fulfill your cravings of physical needs. Not because you are sick, not because you need money, not because that you want to be happy, but you want to accept Christ because He is your master. He is the creator. He is the one who made you. He is the one who is the master of my life, my time, my material things. Doesn't matter whether he provides or not. It does not matter. He is the one who's controlling us. It seems like we have a lot of choices in our life, but we don't have a lot of choices. Most important things about my life is that we don't get to choose our parents. We don't get to choose our birth, nor we will not choose our death. Funny thing is, the moment that I came to Hawaii, I did a ministry with this girl named Lorelai. She had a leukemia. We really pray. I spent a lot of time. I put a lot of emotion. I put a lot of efforts, and I really pray for her. Even our church really pray for her. Even pray for her family. But God took away. Which means my life is not mine. We think we have everything, but that's not true. understand that you need to be in God's hand, which means our thinking system has to completely change. Otherwise, if you, that's why Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, that's why you are a new creation. Unless you are new, you cannot really please God. World evangelism. I'm not saying you have to be perfect. You need to be out of this box. You need to be out of this Satan's matrix. That's the only way. A lot of people think, oh, you have to receive a lot. That's not true. As long as you're out of it, you're in good hands. That's the time that God is with you, and you don't even have to actually learn anything because since God is with you, God will, Christ that's inside of you, make you remember Christ's words to speak, and Christ is with you, so there's no lacking in life. It's complete. We learn that Christ is everything, Christ is absolute, Christ is complete. And there's nothing wrong, there's nothing lacking about Christ. That Christ is with me. That is salvation. That's why today I want you to really think about this. Because we still have mentality, we still have our standards and our boundaries, or the way of, the system of how we think. A lot of times we are still in the midst of this boundary. I want you to remember, you don't want to follow the ways of the world. You don't want to belong to the kingdom of the air. What you want to do is, you want to be in God's hand. That's salvation. So today, this is a message that you have to think about. I thought about this for a very long time yesterday, almost an hour. Really, I really I know there's a lot more message that I want to give you a perspective, but this is actually almost the framework of what we need to think about. I want to conclude. I want to conclude this message by saying that today your salvation is complete when Jesus is with you, and that's finished. That's done. That's why when we say when we are no longer in the midst of this box, that's the time we can say John chapter 19 verse 30. It is finished. The moment you come out of this boundary, the moment you come out of this matrix, you may have actually more problems. Why? Because our physical body is in this earth, which means we will not receive a lot of benefits that most people are receiving. But it does not matter. Why? Because God is with me. During the time of Exodus, Satan attacked Israelites by taking these away: what to eat, what to wear, and what to drink. And that's why Israelites, they fell every time. Satan actually took away what to eat, what to wear, and what to drink. And that's why the Israelites could not go into the land of Canaan. But if you look at first century church, Satan did the same thing. But the first century church members, what they did was they actually gave life. They said, I don't need to eat. I don't need to drink. I don't need to wear anything. I will just die. That's how they won over it. That's faith. And Satan realized it does not work. So right after church was underground and it came above ground, and Satan started to give us blessings. Satan gave us money. Satan gave us power. Satan gave us a luxury. And people actually thinking, wow, God is giving me blessings. And they start to stay in this matrix and thinking this is a blessing. This is how church actually turned out to be. So more than problems, and as Christians today, I think I'll worry about blessings. Think about, let's say that I'm mouse, right? And I'm this and just cheese. I want it, right? But the is on top of mousetrap. If I keep eating it, and one day, boom, Satan is doing the same thing. So what I have to do is not stay in here. When I'm outside the room, I can eat different cheese. But the moment I leave this room, I'll be hungry because there's no cheese outside. I have to look for different food. I have to eat food that someone else provides, not the someone who put the strength. So I want you to really think about this. Am I really outside this box? Or is my thinking, my standards, my value system, am I still in the midst of this? So hopefully I want you to really meditate on this word, think about it, so God will give you a lot of grace. Amen. Okay, let me wrap up with a prayer. Dear God, I give so much thanks to you. We used to be in this midst of in the hand of Satan. You saved us, so you're with us right now. Lord, help us to really enjoy the mystery of Emmanuel 24/7. I give so much thanks to you in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Thank you, Missionary Andrew.
Alrighty. 장로님, 마이크폰이 턴이 안 돼 있는데. 마이크가 꺼져 있는데요. 예.
죄송합니다. 자, 그래서 그러면 저희가 3월
네.
그 9일부터 18일인데 18일까지 못 있으면은 일주일 13일까지 있는 게 나을까요?
그거 한번 잠깐만 티켓팅을 하지 마시고, 왜냐면은 제가 알기로는 그게 딱 피크 사역이거든요.
그러면 저희가 여기서 마이애미로 가는 걸 끊으면 되는 거죠?
그렇죠. 근데 한번 컨펌을 해봐야 될 것 같아요. 가서, 왜냐면은 거기에 고주관이 맞아요. 마이애미 히스패닉 목사님들 협회인데 그때 모임을 갖는 걸로 알고 있거든요. 그거를 딱 보시면 아마 좀 되게 당대 세계복음화라는 뭔가 감들이 좀 될 것 같고.
네. 그래서 그러면 텍산 씨하고 하나라도 그때 가는 게 그럼 낫겠네요.
뭐 인도 받으시면 돼요. 뭐 어떤 게 답은 아닐까. 그러니까 뭐 제가 생각할 때는 우선은 저희는 마임 사역을 중요시 여기는 게 지금 여기 있는 분들 중에서 우리가 저번 때 처음 들었을 때 까르나 목사님 한 분 찾았는데 지금 이렇게 2년이 지났는데 이렇게 문이 많이 열렸단 말이에요. 그러면 이제 지금 400명의 목사님이 좀 까르나 목사님의 나름대로 간증과 증거를 보고 지금 모이는 사람들이 한두 사람 더 있지 않을까. 제가 보기엔 그렇지 않겠어요. 좀 이런 분들 정말 이런 중심과 그렇지 않은 분들도 있겠지만 뭐 대부분 다 이상한 목사일 수도 있겠지만은 그중에 정말로 중요한 분들이 이 부분을 딱 보면서 깨달음이 오는 분들이 있지 않을까. 그럼 만약에 그런 식으로 같이 딱 들어가게 되면은 문 여는 것도 보고 그 다음에 그 문 연 다음에 어떻게 사역에 이렇게 딱딱 구체적으로 접근을 진행했는지 이제 장님하고 저하고 약간 그 갭이 있거든요. 우리는 그거 있잖아요. 그거 있고.
선 교사님 너무 끊겨요 자꾸.
지금
계속 말이 끊겨.
지금은요?
잠깐만. 예.
좀 바꿔서 제가 드릴게요. 지금은 어때요?
지금 괜찮아요.
여기가 좀 제 집이 좀 커갖고.
네.
집이 좀 커갖고 좀 라우터가 잘 되는 방이 있고 또 안 되는 방이 있어요.
맞아, 저희 집도 그래요.
이제 그래서 무슨 말이냐면 이제 저희 같은 경우는 이제 목사님들은 이제 뭘 갖고 있냐면은 그러니까 예수는 그리스도다 이 답과 이제 제일 마지막 종착역이 당대 세계복음화잖아요.
예.
그럼 요거를 두 개를 연결할 수 있는 그 갭들이 분명히 있단 말이에요.
예.
연결할 수 있는 고리들이 있는데 그런 고리들을 나름대로 이렇게 딱딱딱 집어낼 수 있는 그런 배경들이 다 갖고 있어요. 그만큼 이제 말씀이라든지 또 현장과 강단을 통해서 본인들이 훈련받은 부분이 있는데 근데 그런 부분들은 저희가 되게 약한 거예요. 이제 평신도들이. 사실은 이제 여기 현장 사역에서 제일 필요한 건데 그래서 조성호 목사님이 옛날에 평신도 캠프 할 때 요 세 가지를 두고 그 말씀을 하신 거거든요. 말씀을 현장화하는 부분, 말씀하고 그 다음에 현장에 딱 들어가서 하나님의 계획을 찾는 방법하고 그 다음에 사람을 그러니까 결국은 하나님의 계획은 사람한테 있잖아요. 사람을 찾는 것이고 제자를 찾는 것인데 그 제자를 어떻게 단계적으로 성장시킨 것이냐. 이게 마이애기 캠프 첫 번째 들어갔을 때 요 세 가지가 어떻게 보면 빅팀이었었어요. 마이애미 우리가 딱 들어갔을 때 당대 세계복음화라는 단어를 딱 들고 들어가면서 그래 그러면은 하나님이 어떤 말씀을 줘서 어떤 말씀을 붙잡고 어떻게 이 말씀을 현장화시킬 것인가 말씀에 대한 포럼들이 계속 일어나면서 그 중에 이제 현장에 딱 들어가 보니까 현장에 여러 가지 상황들이 있잖아요. 그럼 그 안에서 막 인도를 받는 거예요. 말씀을 갖고 어떻게 막 하다가 그 다음에 이제 말씀의 인도를 받다가 이제 사람이 딱 나왔을 경우에 이 사람이 나왔다. 까르도나 목사님 나왔잖아요. 그럼 이분한테 어떻게 이것을 전달하고 펼쳐줄 수 있을까라는 게 이제 메시지란 부분이란 말이에요. 그러니까 까르도나 목사님이 처음에는 그냥 이 사람들 뭐 세계복음 한다구나. 그다음에 뭐 우리한테 전도 운동 시켜주겠구나. 요렇게만 처음에는 단순하게 요렇게 문이 열렸었어요. 그냥 우리 교회 지금 뭐 전도 안 하고 있고 전도해야 되고 세계복음 해야 되는데 복음 잘 증거 못하구나. 현장에서 전도 역사 안 일어났구나. 생명의 운동 안 일어났구나. 요것만 갖고 딱 건드렸는데 이제 이분들이 이제 하나하나 점차적으로 이제 깨닫기 시작한 거예요. 예를 들자면은 현장에서 전도 운동 안 일어났던 사람이 막 전도가 되어지기 하고 그래도 하나님이 이제 전도가 딱 되어진 다음부터 전도 운동이 쭉 지속되는 과정에서 지금 강단 메시지를 통해서 말씀의 성취가 됨으로 해서 전도하는 것들을 보게 되고 그 다음에 실제적으로 이제 요게 딱 되다 보니까 뭐에 대해서 이제 적어내면은 합숙 훈련에 대한 부분들을 이제 저희가 이제 딱 제자만 모아서 훈련을 딱 시키는 과정에서 그때 합숙을 딱 이 사람들만 말하자면 제자들만 모아갖고 이제 합숙 훈련 했단 말이야. 이때 이 사람들이 눈이 활짝 열려버린 거야. 그때 까르드나 목사님도 마이애미가 아니구나. 나를 통해서 하나님께서 세계복음 하시려고 하는데 지금 내가 눈을 못 뜨고 있구나. 이제 그때 세계복음화의 눈이 딱 크면서 그때 이제 목사님한테 당대 세계복음화, 그다음 자기가 이제 왔던 이제 과테말라, 남미, 그다음 세계, 당대 세계복음화라는 말이 이제 좀 그때 이해가 된 거예요.
오케이.
잠깐만요.
지금 예.
예, 예. 그러니까